Hello, Angry Spork here. I know it's not my usual attire, but in a way it is fitting. So here's Young Justice Season 3, Episode 9, Home Fires. We begin in Bialia, where Queen Bee is meeting with the Light, which has a few different members, because remember, Ra's al Ghul left. He's talking to Vandal Savage about his acquaintances' capabilities, and then we jump to planet Rimbor, where Lobo is walking around being all rude in his natural Lobo way until he's confronted with a contract bot, which I guess can beam a bounty's information directly into your skull, and he promptly accepts. Then it's back to Earth, where Iris West is now dealing with two twin speedsters, much like in the comic, I imagine. And she's kind of, she's not mad, but she is kind of like a little insulted that everyone seems to have forgotten about her because now she's a mom, as she watches Cat Grant report on the opening of the Justice League-sponsored youth center for medic-kids and teens victimized by trafficking. It's announced by Aquaman, and then he introduces the leader, Edward Dorado Sr., He's the father of the teenaged version of El Dorado from, like, the Super Friends Superpowers team show, or, Long Shadow from Justice League, if that's more relevant to some of yous. And he explains that, they're going to help kids learn to control their powers, and you see, like, Livewire and a couple other former villains who, in this show are actually teenagers, so they're being treated a little more compassionately, and they were kind of under control, like they explained last episode. We go back to Iris's house, and, we see Impulse, Kid Flash, Bart Allen is there, helping out, and Queen Mira from Atlantis arrives with her son, Arthur, and, we haven't seen the original Aquaman show up, so is he, like, really busy being king of Atlantis now, and that's why he's leaving the superheroics to Calder? Or is it, like, a sadder story? I'm sure they'll explain it, and it'll probably be well done. The show is still very good. It's something that, they haven't touched on, but it does kind of make you wonder. And, across the street from the West House, or the Allen House, someone who's speaking in a foreign tongue, not a human foreign tongue, not any I can, recognize. So, at first I thought it was an alien, but it was too thin to be Lobo. Superboy is watching G. Gordon Godfrey's show with Forager and, well, not really Brion, he's preoccupied on his phone, but he's watching his show, and Gordon's got the special guest, Gretchen Good, spelled with an E, like the goggles. And she's the founder of Good Works Studios, and, people know her as Granny Goodness. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Yeah. She talks about her VR goggles, and I freaking knew they were up to something with those goggles. I knew it. Whew. So, G. Gordon does what he does best. He accuses her goggles of being detrimental to children's minds, making them dissociate with the reality, but she switches the conversation to her partnership with the Wayne Foundation to help meta-trafficking victims. And McGann walks up to Connor. They have a psychic conversation about how she doesn't... she doesn't really get why he wants to watch this vitriolic jackwagon like Godfrey, and Superboy's like, well, it's kind of giving him a view of the other side of, the conversation, despite all the hate-spewing fanaticism. Brion is watching a video on his phone, specifically of his brother Gregor, announcing he's going to continue his parents' acceptance of Karaki refugees. Will Harper, I should say, and Lynn, they're, it's a big play date at the Allen house, basically, and Will brought over Leanne, and the kids play, and Lynn is not surprised that Jefferson Pierce went back to being Black Lightning, and on the topic of relationships, she kind of wonders, is there something between Will and Artemis? And he says, no, but she apologizes for the assumption, so maybe they're going to use that as a basis for maybe something. I mean, I would kind of prefer it not, because I just don't see any chemistry between the two characters, but, that's me. And, yeah, again, I don't ship. If anyone who saw my 2018 Valentine's Day special spork no ship. I'm pretty sure Karen is Bumblebee, and she shows up at the house, and she's pregnant, and she's greeted by, I think it's Rocket, who has a child of her own, and it's kind of funny, because little Amistad says, "You got a baby in there." It's funny the way he says it. And it's something a kid would do, because I remember in a different episode, Leanne was just kind of sitting in her chair waiting for her breakfast, kind of just dancing a little in her chair. I get the quirks and idiosyncrasies of children done very well. I mean, I can only speak to the experience of kind of like secondhand parenting. I'm an uncle, so I got nieces and I got a nephew, and that's about as far as my own child rearing experience goes. But yeah, that's something they would do. Probably. And, once again, we see that mysterious spy with that alien language. He's counted 14 people now at the house, and he's waiting for 4 more. So, Connor, Brion, Forager, they meet up with Artemis and Halo in a quarry. Interestingly enough, Halo's suit now has, multicolored trimming. I don't know if that's because of her powers, or maybe they just redesigned it that way. Jace and Jefferson are there. And Helga apologizes to Brion for her actions, but he understands she was something of a victim herself. She did want to do what was best for Brion, and this, was going to keep him alive, so... Then someone fires at Geo-Force, and Halo puts up a shield. And, it all turns out it's a test. Nightwing being a wingman using rubber bullets. And Jace is not particularly happy about this. But, Forager and Halo, they acted quickly. And they basically get a pass. Brion, not so much. He kind of just stood there. Or, lied there after he was knocked down. He got injured. So Red Tornado, he shows up with his adopted daughter in his human disguise, of course, because he's an android. The spy has something in a glowing box, which, oddly enough, that's how Black Lightning Season 1 ended. Glowing box! Brion is getting sick of training instead of finding his sister, and he's also tired of being told to be patient. And, even though, he needs the combat training, he needs to, then there's talk of being prepared for the unexpected, and then blammo, Lobo arrives. And who's his contract for? Forager. An awesome fight ensues, where Jace, in the heat of the moment, refers to Halo and Brion as her kids. It is, emphasizing that she cares. And I know Halo can heal herself, but man, it's I think sometimes even then they're kind of taking it too far, because she gets impaled by Lobo's hook, and dang. So Lobo's not going to reveal his contractor, because why would he? And while that's going on, we get the final 2 arrivals at the Allen home, Lois and her son Jonathan. Woo! It's a full house, except this one didn't need a streaming service to greenlight a nostalgic set of seasons. The spy is, getting ready to use his glowy weapon, and where's Dave Coulier when you need him? And turns out this is an Atlantean, none other than Orm, Ocean Master, and he's about to head out with his trident, Neptune's trident, when he's confronted by Shiva. And it's just like, so he was staring out the window, he goes to walk away, and it looks like Shiva was like in like a corner right by the window box. How I know she's supposed to be all stealthy and stuff, but that just didn't make a lick of sense. But she compliments his efforts, and renting out the home and observing the family's habits and getting all this set up, and hints that this is something impressive for the League of Shadows. And Orm says that because he spent like 6 years in prison, he's going to get revenge on all the heroes, and kill their spouses, kill their children, even kill some of the heroes themselves, because again, Bumblebee, Rocket, Red Tornado, Red Arrow. The thing of it is like, even though that's going to be a huge attack on the heroes on a personal level, the Light refers to it as their nuclear option, and they think it's a better idea to avoid it. Orm still wants revenge, so Shiva, she decapitated him. Eventually the place is just cleaned up, not a trace of him left. So we go back to the fight, and Lobo, he is not fazed by all these superheroes attacking him. Even when Brion basically buries him in lava. And so Halo, apparently she doesn't just create duplicates of herself, she can create holographic replicants of other people, because she uses that power to create doubles of Forager to confuse Lobo, and in the process he loses a pinky, and that does not exactly make him happier about the situation. Eventually Forager rolls up to Lobo in ball form, and the main man just smashes him. It's gooey and unpleasant, but Lobo's like, hey, job's done, you did better than most, and he pieces out. But of course, it was never going to be Forager. It turns out he just molted his skin off and straight up tricked Lobo, which is pretty clever. Everyone's happy that he's fine, but Halo's a little hesitant to hug him because he looks Gucci. Like Brion, he don't care. It's his hive bro, and he just gives him a big ol' hive bro hug. Back to another meeting of the Light. Shiva reports she's now the Light's, I guess, lead hit woman, and she says that turns out that they were the ones targeting Forager, but it was more about confirming that Superboy and Black Lightning had an involvement in the Bedlam incident, and that Nightwing has a new Black Ops team, so now they know its members. And among the Light is Gretchen Good, assuring them that the naughty children will be dealt with. And we get the credits over Lobo's dismembered pinky. This was a very fun episode. I suspected that the VR goggles were going to be part of some nefarious scheme. I just had a feeling, but I didn't really expect Granny Goodness to show up. Not that I had any reason to think she was going to show up, other than Darkseid's involvement. But I gotta say, they played that scene of her and Godfrey, who are both working for Darkseid, very well. I mean, you would not have suspected, unless you were very well versed in the DC universe, or, thoroughly remembered Granny Goodness from from Superman the Animated Series or Justice League. It's like, you would not have known just from their back and forth that they're working for the same guy. They're putting on a show for whatever Earthlings are watching, and it's very clever. It's very well done. And I think the crew on this show could show DC a few things. How to, give as much of a mystery as you need when you need to do so, and how to integrate the classic and the current heroes together. And maybe that's a little unfair because this is a relatively new animated universe. It's a different medium and so forth. But I think the way they do it, even if they never elaborate on Courtney Whitmore, like show her becoming Stargirl or what have you, they do it very well. And maybe I'm like giving too much praise to the Easter eggs, but then again, the show itself is just very good. And I haven't been able to say that about a lot of DC products lately, especially in certain media, and we're calm. Inside we're still a mountain of rage, but we're calm. Anyway, another good episode, got some really good action, some clever writing, and it's another episode that makes you want to watch more. And so, yeah, I will see you next time. Good night.